Welcome to Bitwarden Vault Hours. We are so excited to have you here. Looks like there's different kinds of weather being put in the chat right now. Love seeing what's going on around the world. Looks like we also already have questions, which is great. We have a great agenda today, covering a lot of new features that have come to a variety of our different Bitwarden products. So first, a couple new features from Password Manager, then Secrets Manager, and then a little bit more of a deep dive on passwordless.dev and some of the updates for that product. And then we're also going to be covering some bug bounty updates. So we have a bug bounty with HackerOne. We'll be covering some of those updates. And then per usual, we'll be covering some other items like what's going on in the community, what's going on in the news, what have we published recently. And as always, we'll be answering questions along the way. So I know I'm talking at you right now, but that is not intended to be the entirety of the session. So we really want this to be a collaborative kind of event. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the questions pane. And we also want to invite all attendees to have the opportunity to provide a live question or comment. So if you'd like to do that, just put that in the chat and then we'll get you promoted up here on screen, maybe just audio so that way you can ask your question live. I know that a lot of people aren't necessarily prepared to be on screen, so definitely feel free to have your camera off and just ask via audio. But we love to hear your lovely voices and get a little bit more in touch here. Now, it looks like we actually already have some questions in the chat, so that's great. The first question is about passkey properties and the ability to delete them from the GUI. And if that's on the roadmap, Ryan, I'll let you take that away. You are the passkey king, one might say.
All right. First, you hear me all right. Great. All right. So, yes, I'll go ahead and let you guys in a little bit on the secret here since we're in Vault Hours. Yes, it is on the roadmap to be able to delete passkeys and manage them in the user interface. You'll be seeing something on that coming up in the next few months, I'll say. Right now, the way passkeys are set up is that they're basically tied to a login. If you want to delete the passkey, you delete the entire login. Because it's kind of like a password. But sometimes you want to delete out the passkey and create a new passkey, or switch back to a password or something. So yeah, that is coming. That's planned. I also see here was a question: are there plans to include attachments in the JSON backup so we can fully restore after a loss? The team has been looking at this for a little while. It's a really, it's pretty highly requested. However, there are competing priorities for us to, that we have to continue to work on. For example, like passkey management. So we are aware of it. There's a thread on it in the community forum. You can go take a look at it. You can add your 2 cents there as well. But I know that this might be something that we see after we take care of some of the super high priority things that are happening. And I think one of the most interesting things happening right now is that we have a lot of things, super high priority things that are going on that users won't ever be able to see. Our founder, Kyle, and our CTO, he just posted on Reddit talking about how we are recoding the Bitwarden mobile apps to be in native. And you probably won't, well, first to Maui from Kotlin, from Xamarin to Maui, and then from Maui, we're converting everything to native, which will be what Swift on Android and Kotlin. No, Swift on iOS and Kotlin on Android. And people are really excited about that because it also is going to take a little bit of a new design stuff, which I'll talk about that a little bit later. Getting ahead of myself, and some performance improvements. But those are some things that eating up a lot of engineering and programmer bandwidth that you won't really get to see. It's stuff that happens in the background.
Yeah, completely makes sense. Thank you for covering those questions, Ryan. And for the attendees, please keep these questions coming. We'll pause throughout the session to answer these. This is way more important than covering whatever we have today in slides. So please keep the questions coming. We love answering them for you. And so with that, we can jump into some new features that we actually have for Password Manager. The first being the inline autofill menu. So this feature is highly requested by the Bitwarden community, and you can see it in action on that right-hand side, right? So it's a much faster way to autofill your logins. And the way that it functions is that you click on a particular form field that you would like to autofill into, and then select the login you would like to use from the drop down menu that is provided. This is off by default for existing users, on by default for new users since it's release. So if you are a Bitwarden kind of alum, have been using the product for a while, you might need to enable it within the browser extension. So to do this, go to Settings, Autofill, and then go to the Show Autofill menu on the Form Fields dropdown to enable it. But incredibly cool. We had a huge just so many people on the community so excited for this, and we're really excited to provide it to you. Next was actually a community contribution as well. You can kind of see a theme today in Vault Hours. It's all about the community. But this was a community contribution. It is a TOTP QR scanner. So previously, if you would like to add a TOTP into Bitwarden Vault, you could either scan the QR code with your phone with the mobile app, or you could take the key and input that into a different Bitwarden client. Now you can use the TOTP QR scanner in the browser extension to actually scan that QR code, so you never have to pull out your mobile phone. This is really exciting. Honestly, I use my phone all the time to scan QR codes to fit them in the Bitwarden Vault. So this is going to make it so much easier to securely add second factor authentication. Yeah, it looks like Dominic says that the QR code scanner is so useful. And actually, it convinced a friend to use Bitwarden. That's awesome. I feel like I would do the same. Love to hear it. And then another huge update for Bitwarden Password Manager is the Vertical Vault refresh. And so if you've logged into the Web Vault at any point recently, you've probably seen this already. But Ryan, I'll hand it off to you to give a little bit more of a deep dive into what this actually looks like and kind of some background on it.
Yeah, so you guys might have noticed a glow up if you've logged in the last day or two here. What you see is our current Bitwarden screen. This is our old one, the one we've all known to grow and love. And we have a major transformation. The Fab Five have taken to it. The next screen. Bam! Look at that. A little bit of a more modern look and feel. You notice that the navigation that was at the top has now moved over to the left side in this case. We actually also think we have support on the right side for countries that read right to left. But this is more responsive on smaller screens. So it works for a large variety of screen sizes. It's easier to navigate. Once you get used to it, some of us are used to the old ways. But what's also kind of important, if we go to the next slide, we have a new way to navigate in between applications in Bitwarden. So you might be Secrets Manager customer, Password Manager customer, but a lot of people might be who run an organization will now find all of their settings in the admin console, which has been separated out from the settings on the last page that we saw. And when you go to the admin console, which is on the next page, it's clearly marked that that's where you are. I know sometimes before it was difficult to be like, oh, am I in my vault or the organization vault settings? Like it's just a quick glance, you might not know right away. And yeah, we got this new color scheme so you know exactly where you are and what's going on. And there's going to be some continuous improvement to this as well. I know that something that's on the plate is that filters box that you see there is going to be getting a revamp as well. But so far, the response from the community has been very positive. Our design team has written an excellent blog going through like, hey, what were the decisions behind this? Why do we do it this way? Well, what was the user testing? What was the results of that? That's all available on our blog that was posted just a few days ago. And actually, if you log into the vault and you haven't cleared it yet, you'll see a little banner across the top that will also direct you to that blog as well. So yeah, it's really neat. And on top of the news that we were going to get a little bit of a graphics upgrade to our apps when we do the native conversion, I know the community has been pretty happy seeing what's been coming their way in terms of look and feel.
Ryan, it looks like we also had a couple questions about the Vertical Vault refresh as well in the chat.
Yeah, so I'm seeing here, someone says it looks nicer, but it scales weirdly on a 4K screen. I'll have to look into that. I got a 2K monitor. I have a 2K ultra wide, and it seems to be working just fine on that. But There's quite the difference between a 2K and a 4K. I'll go back to the design team with that. Another question here from Dominic: is the new Vault design final, or any noticeable changes still planned? I just mentioned that the filters window there is going to change a little bit in the future. The team is still doing some extra design work. You might have seen we have a new lead user experience designer, Kevin. He posted on Reddit like a few weeks ago, like saying, "Hey, what are your ideas?" I told him to be careful. That was a Pandora's box that was he was opening, and he took it all. There are hundreds and hundreds of comments and suggestions, and so he's digesting all of them. And I've already been a part of some ideation sessions already. So we're definitely amping up some of the design thought and engineering that's going into this. So it'll always be continuous iterative improvement, and we'll design the mobile app remain unchanged. I mentioned earlier that we are going through a 3-phase process with our mobile apps. We're taking our normal apps and converting them into Maui and then into native languages. And that is because of that, we've had to, I guess, like slow down any overhauls or revamps because you don't want one app to change too much, then you have to do the same overhaul 2 more times. So when we get over to the native, which will happen early this year, we will be able to more quickly make changes to that there. So yeah, it's definitely still being worked on and looked at by the design team actively. Be in portrait, such as a phone. It's really interesting, Bill, is that if you go to the blog, there's actually a screenshot in there of the app on a concept. So it's not actually, but like what it would look like on a tablet conceptually. And so you can kind of see what that looks like there, where that side screen can actually move to the left and collapse, I think is the word, and open up some more space. So yeah, that's also being looked at too.
Thanks, Ryan. And then there's no more questions. I know that that's probably a very exciting topic, so we'll definitely be answering questions about that throughout the session. But I would also love to move on to some new features that we've added for Bitwarden Secrets Manager. So Bitwarden Secrets Manager just got an Ansible integration. So for those who don't know, Secrets Manager is a secrets management solution that Bitwarden offers, same end-to-end encryption that we use for Bitwarden Password Manager, and it allows you to securely manage, automate, retrieve, share secrets that you would use within a development pipeline. So with this new Ansible integration, you're essentially protecting your infrastructure as code deployments that you would usually do with Ansible with that same end-to-end encryption. So you're securely retrieving those secrets that are stored within Bitwarden Secrets Manager and injecting them when running a playbook. So no more plain text secrets that are in your Ansible playbooks. So you can see a screenshot of an Ansible playbook down below. And instead of a plain text secret, we've used a UUID, so a secret ID that was generated from Bitwarden Secrets Manager instead. So a much more secure way to use your secrets. This also increases developer productivity, right? So it's much easier to go to one big source of truth for secrets as opposed to trying to find a random env file somewhere to find that secret that you're looking for. So a really cool update to Bitwarden Secrets Manager. If there's no questions, we can still answer questions throughout, right? Even if we've passed that topic. But I'd love to hand it all off to also Nasser about passwordless.dev. This is a new Bitwarden product. Well, it's been out there for a bit, but still fairly new. And we also have a couple updates to this product as well. So I'm going to hand it off to you.
Thanks, Casey, and apologies to everybody about that. But just jumping into Bitwarden passwordless.dev. So it really provides developers and IT teams with the tools that help them bring passwordless authentication to their users and customers. And I want to dig into that a little more. So Bitwarden passwordless.dev is the set of software development kit. It's a software development kit, SDKs, and APIs that allow developers and IT teams to build, manage, deploy their passwordless authentication with passkeys. And again, touching a little bit on what these passkeys are, they're this revolutionary approach to online authentication that allows you to sign into online accounts without really entering a password. So they leverage a pair of public and private key cryptography to authenticate your users with private key And the private key is stored on the user's device or service. It's really difficult to get to. It's impossible to get to. So what are some of the key benefits of some of these passkeys? And you've probably noticed passkeys taking off over the last few years. The large services are all pushing them quite a bit. You might be able to see your local service, or Netflix or Amazon or whatever, like, telling you, hey, you can log in via passkey. So what are they? And what are their benefits? So they're really more secure than passwords, right? Your public key can't be reverse engineered to reveal your private key, as I touched on earlier. Even if a cyber criminal breaches a website server, they can't really use your public key to sign into your account. It also offers this defense against phishing attacks and social engineering. And then additionally, you're looking at, you're creating and using passkeys. The process itself is very easy. You just consent to save and utilize them. There's no need. It completely eliminates the need to input something as with passwords. So it's really frictionless. You can easily even use your biometrics through your devices like fingerprints, facial recognition to authenticate across services. So ultimately, users will get the steady, familiar experience across their devices and services. So if you're a developer, and I'm assuming we have some here, Bitwarden's passwordless.dev provides this great experience and concise, comprehensive documentation, a fully fledged SDK and APIs. And then we encourage a couple types of SDKs, right? There's the language SDKs and framework SDKs. I don't want to dig too deep into that, but if you're more, if you're using the language SDKs, you can leverage stuff like .NET, Python, or Ruby. If you want to rely on the framework SDKs, this really integrates the SDK into one of your opinionated frameworks. So, for example, if you're using ASP.NET or Flask or something like that, you can integrate that in there. You can also use plugins. You can integrate Bitwarden's passwordless.dev as a plugin to your existing system, for example, WordPress. So again, developers can really easily integrate with their existing setup of your username, your password, and you can also use passkeys for primary authentication or even as part of multi-factor authentication, 2FA, for example. So if you're a developer looking to build passkey authentication for your end users, you have a SaaS application, thousands of users. You want to simplify their login, make it more secure, make it frictionless. Go ahead, go take a look at the SDK. You can sign up for free. Or if you're an IT team looking to build, authentication into your internal custom applications for your employees, go over to passwordless.dev and then check out the SDK, play around with it, get a free account, go all out. I wanted to move on to what we've been announcing for passwordless.dev over the last quarter. So in terms of product updates, Bitwarden recently announced updates to its enterprise tier for passwordless.dev. So some of the key updates included event logs. These are really critical for security teams, for IT teams. You can get visibility into passkey authentication activities, your API calls that add in compliance, and provide you greater control over passwordless authentication. So security teams can now analyze who authenticated and against what device. Additionally, we have self-hosting now, so developers can now self-host the Bitwarden passwordless.dev API and admin console on a Docker Linux container. Thus enhancing security by, if you want to restrict access to passkey authentication behind your own VPN or firewall. So again, more control, more privacy, more security. And then Bitwarden has also updated enterprise pricing for passwordless.dev. Our new pricing starts at $3 a user a month. But what do you really get with that, right? You get the full SDK and APIs, and then the ability to authenticate an unlimited number of applications, and you have unlimited console admin. So perfect for the enterprise looking to scale and build really custom solutions. And that's that on passwordless.
Yeah, we got one question in the chat from Danny Christmas asking if passwordless.dev is available through the web application. And the answer is that it's a separate offering, right? It's a completely different product. So it's not related to the web application.
Yep. And if you're a developer, you're an IT team, you're building a SaaS application, or you have a SaaS application, you want to improve authentication, you go use the SDK, the API, you go and build that authentication, you go build passkeys. You give your users the ability to sign in with passkeys. So it's more of a build thing. If you're an IT team, likewise, you have these custom applications and you want to build custom authentication for them with passkeys, you can go ahead and do that. So it's more of a build thing. It's a separate offering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and might I add, like just kind of taking a step back here about the passkey kind of evolution, right? One of the biggest complaints about passkeys is that a lot of applications and websites and things of that nature haven't really caught up to passkeys yet, right? Like there's a lot that just don't support it yet. And so this product, passwordless.dev, essentially allows you to build that for your own products and websites. And so it makes it helps you kind of go into the future with this passwordless authentication. So really important, kind of helps you contribute to the passkey future.
Yeah, most teams don't want to go and build and handle this, the infrastructure and the technology on their own. They want someone supporting them. So they're looking for tools that help them centralize the management, the creation of these passkeys, the management and the deployment of them. And that's really what passwordless.dev does.
Great. I'm going to take a pause here and see if there's any more questions around passwordless.dev. We actually got a question around passkeys, but not about passwordless.dev. It's about login with passkeys. So what's the status on login with passkeys, mobile application, browser extension, things of that nature? Ryan, I'm going to let you take that.
Yeah, I got it. So login with passkeys. We're still keeping that in beta because the login with passkeys function is relying on the PRF function, the WebAuthn PRF extension, which lets us create a static encryption key out of the passkey. Normally, you can't do that, and only a few browsers, I think it's only Chromium browsers right now, are supporting that extension. The mobile apps, like the operating systems, aren't quite supporting that yet. There's some technical things in the background about logging into passkey that will, for encryption purposes, that won't let us do that just yet. And so we're kind of just waiting for everything to catch up to using PRFs. And if the PRF protocol doesn't catch on, we'll have to come up with a different solution for that. Because I got to remember that logging into your Bitwarden account is a two-step process. You have one step for authentication and the other step for decrypting. Right now, when you use a master password, it does both. You're able to create a master password hash, which is used for authenticating, and then you use the key derivation function, KDF. You might have heard of that before, to create the decryption key, or the encryption key that's used for decrypting your vault. Both of those happen at the same time when you log in with the master password. But when you log in with the passkey, the authentication part's taken care of through the passkey, but the decryption part is not. And so that process needs another solution. So the PRF extension for WebAuthn is that solution, but only Chromium browsers support it at the time. Otherwise, you need to use the passkey to authenticate and then still enter your master password to decrypt your vault. Does that make sense? Cool.
We've got another question, this one around Secrets Manager, so I can take this. Is there any chance it can be treated the same as Secrets Manager so we only have a single account? I don't think that's currently in the roadmap for passwordless.dev. I think the intention is to keep those different products separate. Yeah, as Vivian says, it's something we can absolutely consider. I don't think it's currently on the roadmap, especially because it's a different kind of user set. Great. Well, keep those questions coming. This is awesome. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Nasser for some of the bug bounty updates that we have associated with the HackerOne program.
Thanks again, Casey. So just to some updates on the HackerOne bug bounty program. And before that, I just wanted to set some context. So what is this HackerOne bug bounty program? Some of you might have heard about it. Some know about HackerOne, some don't. The HackerOne bug bounty program offers monetary rewards to these ethical hackers for successfully discovering and reporting any vulnerabilities that they come across or bugs to the application developer. So why has Bitwarden partnered with the HackerOne and its community of ethical hackers? Among some of these are some of the best hackers in the world, right? So to improve system security posture over time, we go to these hackers. We're constantly testing the systems, receiving feedback, and it's continuous. It's all about continuous improvement. So we're a security first organization. Bitwarden is a security-first organization. We believe in the power of collaboration, transparency, and obviously, as I mentioned, continuous improvement to safeguard Bitwarden's assets and our customers' assets, as there are hundreds of thousands of people that rely on the technology. So there are two customized HackerOne programs that we are part of. The first one is the public, what we call the public HackerOne program. So really anyone can go and submit a report. You can go to hackerone.com/Bitwarden. And then the second one we call the Bitwarden BVP is really a private invite-only HackerOne program. So only these hackers who've been qualified and have been invited are able to submit reports. These guys, the hackers tend to be some of the most reputable in the HackerOne community, and bounties are paid, in the range of $200 for the ones for vulnerabilities that are low severity, all the way to $6,000 for very critical vulnerabilities. So I encourage you to go to hackerone.com/Bitwarden. If you know of any vulnerabilities, you want to be a part of the program, go sign up and you can submit anything you come across. Of course, it shouldn't have been discovered in the past. So if it's something new, then there's an opportunity for you to get compensated for that. So some key outcomes over the last year with this program, we've obviously improved our vulnerability triage. Bitwarden's been working with the HackerOne and their ethical hackers to ensure like a timely assessment and prioritization of reported vulnerabilities. And then furthermore, we've also expanded the scope and coverage to include our additional services like Bitwarden Passwordless.dev and Bitwarden Secrets Manager. And then Bitwarden has also streamlined rewards and recognition by re-reviewing the reward structure and recognition, and the recognition mechanisms for fair and equitable compensation of these ethical hackers. And I believe last year the average bounty was about $1,000 roughly. And finally, there's been an improvement in our communication frequency with that community. So we now have quarterly reports informing the community of new releases. Again, what this does is it really fosters a culture of transparency and partnership, and the community knows what's coming, and if they need to invest more time in checking what's going on if there's a vulnerability. So again, I encourage you, if you want to submit a vulnerability report, go to the hackerone.com/Bitwarden, sign up, and feel free to submit a report. Again, back to you, Casey, but I'll see if there's any relevant questions here.
I don't think there's any questions right now, but I did paste this link in the chat as well. So if you are interested in participating in the program, go check it out there. Ryan also did a great summary of everything that Nasser just said. You find Bitwarden bugs, right, and you get cash for it. So I think that's a pretty cool program.
Yep.
Great. So we'll still be taking questions on that, obviously. So keep putting them in the chat. But while you're typing, I'd love to highlight some instances of Bitwarden in the news recently, because there's been a decent amount of coverage. The first being around passkeys, right? That's no surprise. Passkeys are a very big deal, and they have been in the news for quite a while now. So first is Bitwarden making it easier for businesses to start using passkeys. So this article from TechRadar on the left-hand side is highlighting that passwordless.dev solution that Nasser just walked through. So highlighting some of those enterprise features like posting and event logs that are coming to this ability to build passkey authentication. And on the right-hand side, also talking about passkeys, but in a little bit of a different context, right? This is login with passkey. So bringing passkey support to being able to log into your Bitwarden vault. So a very big deal. Android Police and Bleeping Computer both covered this. So just even making it even more secure when accessing your passwords through Bitwarden. Next was, we're still in the very much beginning of 2024. So there's a lot of articles coming out right now about the best password manager of 2024. So TechRadar noted that Bitwarden is the best free password manager out there. We all know that we're also the best paid password manager, but some news outlets still need to catch up on that, I think. Forbes noted Bitwarden as the best open source password manager of 2024 with a 4.2 stars. And then Digital Trend noted Bitwarden as the best overall 1Password alternative for 2024. So a lot of great recognition for the Bitwarden password manager in the news. The next article is from ZDNet, and I thought this was pretty interesting because I haven't heard Bitwarden kind of categorized as a productivity app in quite some time. I mean, we all know that Bitwarden does make you more productive, but it's more of a security app whenever we're being categorized in the news. So I loved seeing this article. It's written by Jack Wallen, and it's highlighting 5 Linux productivity apps that can be installed from the Snap Package Manager. Most people know you can natively install Bitwarden on Linux, but also you can do it through that Snap Package Manager as well. And Jack Wallen notes that Bitwarden is the #1 Linux productivity app that you should be installing because you need a password manager, and Bitwarden is the best choice for that. And then lastly, we got a lot of coverage for that inline autofill menu that I showed a little bit earlier in today's session. So a lot of different news outlets highlighted how it makes it easier to submit passwords. It adds additional phishing resistance. So a lot of security protections around that autofill menu. And then Alternative TO noted that it was a highly requested autofill feature. And if you go onto the Bitwarden forums or Reddit, you can absolutely see how important this was to the community. So I loved seeing that recognized in the news as well. Cool. Well, keep, putting those questions in. Looks like we haven't really gotten any right now, just a couple comments. So I'll hand it off to Ryan to talk a little bit about our blog.
Yeah, and boy, I didn't realize how much blog writing we've done the last month. There's so much. I just ended up just going to our blog page and just taking screenshots and just dropping them in here. Let's go through some of these. But one of the big sources of a lot of these new blogs coming up is a lot of our Open Source Security Summit. I wouldn't call them rehashes, but highlights, where you can go through and see like individual sessions that are being published from our the Open Source Security Summit, along with like textual summaries of each of them. The Open Source Security Summit happened in December. We had a lot of excellent security professionals who were on doing panels and talks, and I really encourage you to go and take a look at this. You can find this information on our website at bitwarden.com/events. All this stuff is still there. The Open Source Security Summit is something that happens every year, and we host. We had Wozniak on for one of the years. It was awesome hearing him talk about open source and how important it is to the community. And then the Bitwarden design blog, we kind of went over that a little bit already. There's also a blog here about the Secrets Manager. What is a Secrets Manager? Just helping people get more introduced to the concept of it. The next slide, the next 3, another Open Source Security Summit story here. This one about building a cybersecurity work culture. Building a security culture at work is one of the hardest things, but also like the highest paying off things that you can do at your company. Like people have to care about security in order for them to actually take it seriously. Then the Ansible integration with Bitwarden Secrets Manager that Casey talked about already. This was, I think, written by you, Casey. Good work. Awesome information. And then we also have just how to use Bitwarden Password Manager. Again, just like introductory guide. It's always good to kind of rehash those to make sure people can see those pretty common more often. On the next slide, inline autofill description, also Casey's wall, great work. And we talked about that today. And then tax season, people in the US, we still have another month and a few weeks for submitting your taxes. If you're using a CPA or any other tax professional, you need to share some of your sensitive information like 1040s and W-2s. Use Bitwarden Send. Keep that information encrypted. Don't let it float around the internet or in someone's inbox. That way, a little extra security around your stuff. Enabling enterprises. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, fun fact, I recently just did that myself, and it makes things so much easier, and then you don't have to worry about any of that tax information getting out there.
Oh yeah, and you can also see like how many times it's been accessed, and a lot of it's very, very useful for sensitive info. And tax documents is one of those things that is sensitive. All right, then we have enabling enterprise to build passkey authentication in the workforce. This is the new enterprise features that came to passwordless.dev, including self-hosting and event logs. So that was a really neat announcement. And then we have some more blogs that came out the same week. February, the Valentine's Day was actually pretty busy for us in terms of blog writing. Here we have a very developer-focused blog. Like there's code in it, for example, just paragraphs and paragraphs of code, and it just goes over how Bitwarden has set up a testing workflow on the passwordless.net SDK, and goes through the code for setting this up yourself. And then here's one: how password security best practices safeguard against ransomware. This was actually a really interesting article because this was the U.S. government issued a stop ransomware guide. And this blog goes through that information that was in that guide, which includes like data on how ransomware gets onto systems, and it really just kind of goes through how Bitwarden can protect those credentials and what you need to that are like the key gateway for ransomware in the first place. So really interesting information there. And then Open Source Security Summit. This was the Q&A with the CISO. What is it? What is that title? Chief Information Security Officer, my guess, at Epic. But yeah, so she has information about Passkey, open source, and it was a good Q&A. The next, this one, 7 in 10 Americans are overwhelmed by passwords. Here's a simple solution. That's an interesting headline, but really it goes around the all the information that was in our Password Day survey, and we do all these surveys. And Password Day, we had we basically pulled the audience, say, hey, what have you been doing, and just coming up with some insights through there. There's a nice little mention of us. Bitwarden was on the Today Show. We were mentioned. Well, we were not on the Today Show. Somebody on the Today Show mentioned us, which is fantastic. It's always great to see Al Roker say our name, and that was also mentioned in this blog as well. And then if you really want to see like how the sausage is made, like the behind the scenes, you can read this blog about inside open source releases at Bitwarden. Goes through our monthly releases and cadence and steps involved with that. So if you're interested in seeing what our process is, take a look there. If you want to give us feedback, take it to the product team. I'm not involved in that sort of thing. And then healthcare industry. Doctors are doctors, and they're really good at medicine, but they might not be very good at IT and security. I don't know how many times have you gone to a doctor's office and still see they're running Windows XP. So this blog raises the fact that the healthcare industry really is prime for cyber attack, and kind of puts in some information about how a medical office, for example, might be able to improve their security. Okay, last slide. This is the last three. Another Open Source Security Summit recap. Fantastic stuff. Credential management in the enterprise. Talk about how you can talk about the kind of SSO. We rely on SSO a lot in businesses for security, but that doesn't really cover everything. So hey, just one that's wrong, one could have bad consequences. And then lastly, Data Privacy Week. We actually talked about this in our last Vault Hours. We had an early preview into what was in there. Really interesting about this, because we took a survey of like, hey, what were people's most favorite applications and tools for being private? Browser. Firefox was number 1, Brave was number 2, and LibreWolf, which I hadn't heard of before, was number 3 for being the top selections for privacy-focused browsers. Okay, that was all the blogs. That was a lot. If you guys ever need some nighttime reading, just head over there and read all of our work that we've been putting together. I promise you, not AI generated, like real people working on it. All right. Next up is help. And
yes, but we also have a question around login with passkeys, Ryan, in the chat.
All right, let's see. Where was it? One question. With mobile apps, I really can see a problem with browser extensions. The same operating system and browser can no longer the web vault security key. But where's the difference? All your described problems are the same for the web vault as for the browser extension. What am I missing? Not quite, because the web vault is a self-contained JavaScript, a Java application. I believe that's correct. And there are, I'm getting my words mixed up here. So that's why we're able to do it, is because it is the self-contained Java application. And we call it through the browser to get the PRF. The extension runs on a different manifest, and actually Google's updating their manifest to Manifest v3, which is also one of those things that we're working on right now that no one's ever going to see, even though it takes up a whole bunch of engineering resources. So while you have to have the specific browser to support it because it has to call on the key. The extension environment is a little bit different. And if we really wanted to get into the weeds on that, I'd have to get another expert on here, someone from the programming team. They've explained it to me before, but my head just spun to the point where I just understood that it wasn't possible. So that's the case right now. Trust me, we're looking into it because passkeys are all the rage. We want to be part of that. So as soon as we find a way to make that work, probably after we get the Manifest v3 implemented, then we'll find a way to get that in for the extensions as well.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I'll hand it off to Sai for help.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Sai. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of things in help. I think similarly to the huge amount of different blogs that we have been busy writing, there have been a ton of updates to our help center and our documentation around some of those updates. So there's a few that I just wanted to call out that may not impact everyone, but some really interesting new updates. So if you use Duo for your two-factor authentication, we recently made some updates around the implementation of the universal prompt. You can take a look at that first article to learn more about that and how it might impact you. And the second one, and I missed it, Ryan, but this one is around some additional functionality that we introduced around managing collections. So I know that being able to manage your own collections is something that has been highly requested. And so we recently introduced the ability to give that a try and allow your users to manage their own collections. So you can take a look at that article to learn more about enabling that and what that entails for you as well as your end users. Now we'll touch on the Learning Center. So I've got a couple of different videos I wanted to highlight, and both of these I chose to go with exporting. So the reason being is that later on this month will be World Backup Day. So we'll touch on that a little bit more when we get over to the general events that are happening this month. But if you want to create a backup, you can do that not only for your Bitwarden Password Manager, but also for Secrets Manager. So we've got those two videos out there that'll walk you through whether it is as a just in case, as part of your disaster recovery plans, or for whatever reason you decide you want that export. And then to community. So I've got more of a general community call out here, but I really wanted to highlight, and Ryan and Casey, you've already mentioned this a little bit earlier. We've had a lot of recent engagement, not only from our founder, Kyle, which you can see in that Going Native, which was a post that he put up on Reddit to engage with our community and kind of let you all know what all is coming there, but also that post by Kevin, which he actually did both on Reddit and on our internal community. So I really want to encourage folks, don't think that this is the only time that you can communicate with us. You'll see me on all of the above all the time. You may see me as SJ Bitwarden. So please feel free, take advantage of that community. We have not only just us, we've got your casual day-to-day users, some power users and developers who are actually, getting into the weeds on the product. We love to see that kind of engagement, and sometimes you teach us things. So I think that's one of the cool bits about the open source community, that everyone's got their nugget of wisdom to share, and I love all of us coming together to kind of figure out how to make a better Bitwarden. All right, so kind of on that same topic, how to get involved. So if you go to thatbitwarden.com/get involved, it'll have a ton of different information here for you, whether you're a developer who wants to contribute code, if you want to help with client localization, if you're multilingual. I am so jealous. But you can help us make sure that not only is Bitwarden available in your language, but that translation is correct and makes sense for your native languages. You can also suggest things. So submit feature requests or just ask questions. We've got a beta program available. So outside of specific posts by Kevin and others, we do have some general open betas if you want to give us feedback on things that we are trying and iterating on. And same thing with user research. And then lastly, you can always attend an event. So we will post things like this here with our Vault Hours, but like some of the different talks with Rachel Toback and other speakers we've brought in, those can be really, really beneficial to get some industry perspective as well.
And you can find all of our events at bitwarden.com/events as well.
Absolutely. And then I think this might be second to last. So as always, if you love Bitwarden, come join us. So I just posted here briefly the currently open positions. So we've got these ones available here, but just if you're generally interested, we also have just a general interest form. So tell us why you want to work here, and we'd love to talk to you about it. All right, last but not least, some upcoming events. So as always, I always like to advertise the weekly Teams and Enterprise demos. We've got that every Wednesday at noon Eastern. And we also have our MSP demo coming up next week. So that's going to be on March 14th, same time, noon Eastern, but that's that Thursday. And then right at the end of the month, we have that World Backup Day. So it's a good reminder to make sure that you've got a backup plan just in case, and you've got your data secure. And I believe it's back over to you, Casey.
Yeah, so on that same note about Bitwarden events, Bitwarden Vault Hours is actually going back to a monthly cadence. So we've been quarterly for a while, and that was great, but we honestly just miss all of this conversations that we have with the community too much. And so we're going back to a monthly cadence. So every month on the last Friday, you can join us and hear everything that has been going on recently at Bitwarden, all of our different product updates, all of the different instances of Bitwarden and credential management in the news will be here on that monthly basis. So look for announcements in the community and on the Bitwarden subreddit. Also, we post in Twitter and all of our other channels about Vault Hours, but you'll be seeing us a little bit more often, which is great. I don't know if you had anything to add there as well, Ryan.
No.
Great.
Heart.
Yeah. So one more thing, if you've joined these Vault Hours in the past, you know exactly what's coming up. But we have a Bitwarden store giveaway. So by entering, you'll get a chance to win some of these super cool Bitwarden swag. I have honestly about half the stuff on this screen right now. It's really great quality. I use it all the time. So to enter, you go to bitwarden.com/shop and you scroll down to the bottom of the screen. And you're going to fill out the contact form down there. Specifically in the comment section, you're just going to say that you heard about the giveaway during Vault Hours 38. And if you submit this contact form within 24 hours of now, you'll be considered to win, unless, of course, you've won before, which you are no longer eligible. So I highly recommend that people, participate in this giveaway. Who doesn't love free stuff? I love free stuff. I think everyone loves free stuff. So definitely take advantage of this. And that brings us to the end of our session. Good job, everyone. That was really informative. But I'd love to open it up for any more questions or comments from some of the attendees. Looks like there was a question around SIEM and integrating that with our event logs, which is absolutely possible. Good question there.
Yep, I'm going to play some tunes, but I'm going to stick around for a little bit. So if you have any questions in the chat, I'll still be here, even if I'm not on camera. And yeah, it was good chatting with everybody today.
Yeah, thank you for attending, everyone. And we'll see you more often.